one more poet of this evening, and that is Miss Rachel McCraw. Give it up. And then we're going to head back to Real Fans. Oh, just one word of note. Those of you that didn't win a prize in the raffle tonight, keep your tickets because they all go into the final raffle if they weren't drawn already.
Hello. I'll start close. It's really nice to be back in Darmok. I came here for the first time a few weeks ago for another poetry reading, and I had this slightly strange experience outside where someone who's there and is being quite active in the spoken word scene started telling a story, which was essentially one of my own poems quoted back to me. And he used the same phrases and everything, but he was telling it as his story, and I was thinking, you cheeky bugger. Back in my head. And then I thought about it more, and I realised or I actually realised when I finished writing the poem that it owes a huge debt to Seamus Heaney's digging. And I realised this when I finished and I thought, shit, because A, that's cheeky, and B, it's Heaney. And blah, blah. And then I thought about it more, and I thought, well, it's okay, because I'm Northern Irish, and Seamus Heaney was a huge part of our poetry education growing up, so as long as you acknowledge these things, that's okay. So it's the first poem I'm going to read for you, and it's about my actual mother, and with a debt to a literal forefather as well, so I think as long as you acknowledge these things, it's fine. So that's what the point of that incredibly rambling, and me calming myself down introduction was. So this is called Broad. In a Belfast sweatbox, slurred and steaming, a country voice dove into my ear. Jesus, you're a hefty one. I believe it was a compliment. He thought. He paid. These shoulders are broad. My mother was a farmer's daughter with a voice that stretched across 3 fields. From her I gained blue eyes, childbearing hips, and feet planted family tree trunk to the ground. From her I learned that self-indulgence is a dirty word, that it is important to get the potatoes on the table for your brothers before you write the application for the university. She did both. The first in the family to live by words rather than by her hands. And she suffered, uncharacteristically quiet for this. It can be hard to explain the weight of paper. In the church hall, after my great-grandmother's funeral, they turn over my palms as they clasp my forearms to see if I have yet managed an honest day's work. I have only one callus to show them, the indentation between the knuckles of the middle finger of my right hand, the last best thing my mother gave to me. That's okay, you can probably hear me better than you hear myself. The next poem I'm going to do for you. This was part of a project called Darmok Angels running in Edinburgh, and it was a tribute to Kerouac to celebrate some anniversary, the precise details of which I've slightly forgotten. But it was brilliant, and it was you were sent out a passage from Kerouac, and it was to respond to that in whatever way you saw fit, hopefully in the form of a poem. And I've got a weird relationship with the beats and with Kerouac. I liked reading a certain time, and then I got sick of them, and then I came back to them. I keep coming back to them, and they're very addictive, but they're slightly dangerous. I don't know if they've got legs, and that applies equally to certain relationships that I've been in. So this equally goes for both of them. This is called Last Night Ashore. I reel in to find you roiling in the oak, hidden behind your moustache, all set to clash pints with Ferlinghetti and Herbert Hunk. We celebrate the swirl of the world around a dirty plug hole and sink fast, fast, fast beneath our drinks. While riders to the storms of the world howl down the streets of homes, we batten down the hatches and toast ourselves in kipper ties, no longer roaring, but sluggish as spittle. Salt-licked, fag-ridden, battered souls and neighboured haps slipping, infatuated with indulgences, we cling to our wastings. Too old for dancing raucous down the streets, wheeling jaunty to the macadam, shantied and shanghaied, ballast long since gone. And I would do nothing else but fleece myself to celebrate last nights with you, my heavy love. But every blind drunk night has been our desperate last. This is a goodbye. This must be our goodbye, our looming, unspoken parting of the ways. For even if tonight we do not finally manage to jettison ourselves overboard, tomorrow we will still be flotsam corks on oily wash, cremola tipped and stretched horizon high. And my love, I know you cannot swim. This is a bit of a new one, which means it looks like this. And I'm still scribbling on it. Yeah, this was trying to find a poem and stumbling on something else instead. This is called A Quest for Kisses. They cluster round with chivalry from another age. Not yet knights, squires on the way to Camelot, play acting at joust with carried lances. On the empty cobbles I had paused to roll tobacco on a dark windowsill. Hardly a damsel, and no distress, just restless on the wrong side of early, trying to work out a poem while wearing out my boots. Concern became an Acme cigarette, proffered with a flourish and a grin. Then cut to another scene, one begging for red lipstick and pink curls. Will you do something for our friend, miss? Oh Christ, I think a virgin. Sean is going to the army tomorrow. Sean is pushed forward, buzz cut young, and he looks at his feet. A heartbeat and an understanding. I step to him, place a hand on his shoulder, touch my lips briefly to one cheek and then the other. There should be nightingales. Instead, I watch them dwindle up the dark street, whooping as their quest continues, and the girls in the tiny skirts shriek away in delight, crying, "Silly boys, silly boys." I've only got two more for you, and having started with acknowledgements and all the rest. It's about performance poetry, it's about poetry as well, and when I listened to these of yours, I thought, shit. Also, because I love these ones, I love that one, heard it before. Yeah, so I've sort of been doing the whole performance poetry thing, and I specifically say before this for about a year. Yeah, there's some interesting things that come up when you say you read stuff out loud, and I'm lucky by accident on cigarettes to have a reasonable voice to listen to. And the favourite voice that comes back is, "Oh, you can read telephone directory." So that's fine. So this is please do not listen to the sound of my voice. Hello, I'm here to perform for you. I do not have an instrument you can see, but I have practiced. I am here to read a poem that I have written. But with your voice, you could make a telephone directory sound interesting. Have you considered voiceover work, or phone sex, or sat-nav, or those traffic lights that talk? Please do not listen to the sound of my voice. Performance is cheating in poetry. Accidents of cadence confer charm plate weight on anecdote, milk meaning till it curdles, razzle dazzle, spit it out, call for laughs and dare to entertain. Poems are meant to lie in grace, and voices are not tools to be wielded like meter, form or irony. Please do not listen to the sound of my voice. The tone does not carry the story. It was dragged up by elocution lessons and ballet classes to stick it safe beyond twang of native danger. It grew up ninja, danced rootless around seats of learning, cigarette rasp aloft, protection against slapped sandstone echoes and one horse-drawn accusation of no class. Please do not listen to the sound of my voice. Accents carry no moral weight. Although voices from the north are deemed trustworthy in call centres, these are only the reverberations of conversations resonant around my world. 02844881196, paternal bass rumbles duet with fluttering concern. 016578894, kindness thick as tar and tongue wedged solid in Manchester cheek. 02077332417, brittle Sheffield, top notes of Brixton and tenor warmth of Malian sun. 0044062136, transatlantic in a South African hotel room, and tonight his voice is soft because he is lonely. 01471590198, brother Belfast home. 02891882711. 02891882711. 02891882711. My grandmother's number does not recognize itself anymore. So please do not listen to the sound of my voice, or I may give up this writing mark and begin to read telephone directories. The other thing I like about performance poetry and poetry at nighting is its storytelling and its learning to make sense of how to try and tell your story and your own story. And if you will have listened to this rambling, I ramble a lot. I had one boyfriend tell me it was going out with Ronnie Corbett because every story spun over to it, and she was like, thanks Rufus. And he was called Rufus, for God's sake. Sorry, that's awful. If you're called Rufus, it's a lovely name.
It's still funny though.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's very true. Anyway, so yes, this is related to that, and it was written last August when it was all sort of kicking off around the place, and it was confusing and shocking. And it's called Are the Kids Alright? And it starts with a quote from J.M. Coetzee, The Life and Times of Michael Kay. And the quote is, "And if I had learnt storytelling at Queen Uranus, instead of potato peelings and sums, if they had made me practice the story of my life every day." When it all kicked off this summer at home, our hearts sank. We thought we knew how this story unfurled, knew how the streets would be littered with the detritus of violence, the burnt out cars, the shattered glass, the hard arms raised. But this was not the old angers re-stoked. This had a new swagger. Bully boys all looked the same behind balaclavas, and I learnt years ago that I would not let myself be frightened by the likes of you. But these images hurt from less familiar streets. This is not my story, and I do not know what to do. You little gods, we cannot match your energy, willful, wanton, and so very fast. We follow with brooms and teacups. We comfort ourselves with cleaning up. We bleat beauty. Perhaps this guilt is arrogance. This is not our story, and we do not know what to do. And do not speak to me of politics and pathetic fat-cheeked men who have forgotten where to place the I in their culpability. What will you do tomorrow? When at home you count your stash of trainers, sportswear, fetishes, totems with a street value, how do you speak? How will you match the giddiest high of the day you rushed the streets? You do not want bullets to come. Plastic is followed by steel, and you do not want the bullets. We should have caught your story before. The city is broken, and we do not know what to do. The city is broken, and we hide behind the hot, frustrated tears of a child whose toys have been snatched without warning. The city is broken, and we do not know what to do. We do not know your language, and we have not heard your story.
One last round of applause for Rachel McCraw. Final